This video was written by the Bosman Viewing. Check out his channel, it's one of the most underrated football channels. If you like retro football content, particularly from the 90s, this channel is definitely for you. It's one of my favourites at the moment, so I'll leave it linked in the description below. So for many, France 98 will go down in history as one of the greatest World Cups. The 16th edition of the tournament was filled with memorable moments from beginning to end, like the iconic goals scored by Michael Owen, Dennis Bergkamp and Zinedine Zidane, to seeing the host nation France win their first ever World Cup on home soil. So what I want to do today is highlight and break down the best players from France 98 that all ended up being included in FIFA's World Cup 1998 All-Star team. But before I go any further, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, OneFootball, which has become the only football app I use specifically during the World Cup. They have not only a match preview but also a match report on all of the World Cup games, as well as a post-match piece on the man of the match of that game. And with the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro performing so well at this World Cup, that will definitely be of interest to a lot of you. Alongside this, you can also keep up to date with a live ticker of each match, as well as being able to get the lineups and formations of each team. And most interestingly to me, there's also a head-to-head feature, which allows you to see the results from the last 5 years between each of the two teams. So during the World Cup, the OneFootball app is a must-have, and combine this with the features they already have for the Premier League and other domestic leagues when they return, including highlights and videos, it's definitely a no-brainer for every football fan. And you can download the OneFootball app completely for free, either by using the QR code on screen or by clicking the link which will be in the description and the comment section below. Starting off the list is Fabien Barthez. France 98 would be the first tournament at which Barthez was the #1 goalkeeper for France, and he would not disappoint for his home nation. Barthez played a crucial role in helping his country win the World Cup thanks to some impressive displays throughout the tournament. He was able to keep 5 clean sheets, only conceding 2 goals in 7 games, and those goals were a penalty against Denmark in the group stage and a goal against Croatia in the semi-finals. His impressive standout performances would not go unnoticed, and Barthez would be awarded the Yashin Award as the best goalkeeper of the World Cup. An athletic and eccentric goalkeeper who was well ahead of his time in how he played, Barthez played a pivotal role in helping France in the World Cup of 1998, and he deserved his place in that all-star team. Next up, another goalkeeper, this time Jose Luis Chilavert, who leading up to the tournament was twice named World Goalkeeper of the Year by the IFFHS in 1995 and 1997. So many people were expecting to see big things from the Paraguayan keeper. Chilavert would quickly create history by becoming the first goalkeeper ever to take a direct free kick in the World Cup finals in Paraguay's opening match against Bulgaria. He was able to keep 2 clean sheets during the group stages, and he helped his country reach the last 16, where they were eventually eliminated by eventual champions France. Chilavert would miss out on the Yashin Award at the World Cup, but he would eventually be named World Goalkeeper of the Year by the IFFHS for 1998. A flamboyant and technically gifted goalkeeper, Chilavert was very well remembered by fans from around the world and was rightfully included in the All-Star team. Now on to the defenders, and I'll start with Roberto Carlos. Prior to the World Cup in 1998, France held a warm-up tournament in 1997 called El Torneo, where Brazil and France would end up playing each other. During this World Cup, Roberto Carlos would score what has since been considered one of the greatest free kicks of all time, thanks to the way he was able to control the movement of the ball. Due to this moment going into France in 1998, there were high hopes of seeing more spectacular goals from the attacking-minded defender in every match he played in. Unfortunately, he was unable to replicate this infamous free kick. However, he did play an important role in helping Brazil reach the final by playing in all 7 matches and displaying some impressive speed and dribbling skills. A fan's favourite who would go on to become synonymous with Brazil at World Cups, Roberto Carlos got his place in the All-Star team. The next defender to talk about is Marcel Desailly. Since making his international debut for his country in 1993, Desailly was a well-established player for France, and he was viewed as one of their top players going into the World Cup in 1998. His strength and his hardcore tackling style were crucial in making France's backline difficult to break down throughout the tournament. Desailly would play every minute of every game, including the games that went into extra time, leading them all the way up to the final against Brazil. Unfortunately, in the 68th minute of the final, Desailly would be sent off for a second bookable offence during the match, but thankfully for him, France were able to hold on to the win and in turn claim their first ever World Cup title. A powerful player who was able to read the game at the highest level, Marcel Desailly was an easy selection to be included in the All-Star team. Now to talk about his international teammate Lilian Thuram. Another defender who had been part of the French national team for a number of years leading up to France '98, Thuram had always been a consistent performer for his country, and that reign of form would continue at this World Cup. His intelligent play and ability to man-mark players out of the game helped his nation overcome every opponent they faced. A standout moment for Thuram during that World Cup was in the semi-final match against Croatia, where he was viewed as being at fault for Croatia's opening goal in the game against France. Undeterred by this, Thuram would go on to score 2 goals in this match and make it 2-1, and see France win the game to reach the World Cup final. An elegant defender who could play in multiple defensive positions, Lilian Thuram more than earned his spot in this all-star team. Next up is Carlos Gamarra. The captain of the Paraguay national team, Gamarra really announced himself to international football at France '98. His calmness in possession and his organisation skills would help Paraguay reach the last 16 of the tournament to play the home nation France. Although here they would be knocked out by the eventual winners France thanks to a golden goal in extra time, Gamarra earned huge respect from players and fans due to his performances at the World Cup. He played every minute for Paraguay during their World Cup campaign, and it was noted that he didn't concede a single foul in any of his side's matches. Thanks to this, Carlos Gamarra was rightfully included in the All-Star team. And the final defender to discuss is Frank de Boer. The left-sided defender had played for Holland since 1990, and there was a lot of optimism surrounding the Dutch national team going into France '98, thanks to the talent they had in their squad. And Frank de Boer was viewed as one of those standout players. One of the most well-remembered moments of his career happened during this World Cup in the quarter-final match against Argentina. De Boer was able to deliver a pinpoint accurate 60-yard pass across the field to his teammate Dennis Bergkamp in the last minutes of the game, from which Bergkamp was able to score in spectacular fashion. This led to Holland knocking out Argentina and reaching the semi-finals of the tournament to face Brazil. His leadership, passing range and technical ability earned him a place in this all-star team. Now for the midfielders, and I'll start with Dunga. France '98 would prove to be the last international tournament for Brazil captain and legend Dunga, having led his country to World Cup glory in 1994. Dunga retained the captaincy for Brazil going into this tournament in the hopes that he could lead this young and promising side to victory again, despite reports of there being tensions in the side, with Dunga himself falling out with teammate Bebeto during the match against Morocco. He was a consistent performer over the course of the tournament in that holding midfield role. He was again able to reach another World Cup final with Brazil, albeit one that ended with defeat. A composed midfielder who rarely gave the ball away, Dunga took his spot in this all-star team. Michael Laudrup is the next midfielder to talk about. An icon of Danish football, Michael Laudrup had somewhat of a tumultuous relationship with international football due to a falling out he had in the early 90s, but he was called up to Denmark's squad for the '98 World Cup, with many expecting it to be his last for the country. He was made captain for the tournament and would make his 100th appearance for Denmark in that opening match against Saudi Arabia. His experience and vision helped his nation reach the quarter-finals to face Brazil, where they would ultimately lose 3-2 in a close game. Laudrup would announce his international retirement following Denmark's elimination, but not before being voted in this all-star team. Next up is the unmistakable Edgar Davids. Despite falling out with Holland manager Gus Hiddink at the previous international tournament, which was Euro '96, Davids was called up again for the Netherlands for the France '98 squad due to his tenacity and stamina, and his standout performance at this World Cup would come in the round of 16 clash against Yugoslavia, where he was able to score the winning goal of the match in the last minute of the game to make it 2-1 and send Holland through to the quarter-finals. A versatile and technically gifted player, Edgar Davids was deservedly included in this all-star team. Another midfielder to discuss is Rivaldo. The '96 Summer Olympics saw Rivaldo win a bronze medal for Brazil, and leading up to France '98, expectations were high to see how well he could perform at this World Cup alongside the other exceptionally talented teammates he had in the squad. His creativity and agility was on full display during this World Cup, and he was a major reason behind Brazil reaching the final. Rivaldo contributed 3 goals and 2 assists throughout the tournament for his country. His close control and skillful use of feints helped catch the imagination of fans all around the world, and he was selected as a part of this all-star team. The final selection for midfield was of course Zinedine Zidane. Zidane was a part of the France international setup since 1994, and he played well at Euro '96, but he would take his career to another level thanks to the quality of his performances that he brought to France '98. Zidane had elegance and movement on the ball that had very rarely been seen in football. His first touch and passing precision made him stand out on the pitch regardless of who he was playing against. During the opening group games for France, Zidane was able to supply multiple assists for his teammates, but he did unfortunately receive a red card in their match against Saudi Saudi Arabia. Following on from this, he helped his side reach the final to play Brazil, where he would have one of his best ever matches for France, scoring 2 uncharacteristic headers to help his country become eventual champions by 3-0, and after which he would be awarded the World Cup final man of the match. His performances and success at France '98 would make him a national hero, and there was no doubt that he would be selected for this all-star team. Now on to the forwards, and starting with Davor Suker. France '98 would be the first World Cup that Croatia would ever play as an independent nation, and Davor Suker was a player who they hoped would bring success in front of goal. A deadly striker who was well known for his finishing ability, Suker would take the tournament by storm and scored an unbelievable 6 goals in 7 matches, scoring in every game Croatia scored in. His performances and goals helped Croatia to an unexpected 3rd place finish, and he would be awarded the Golden Boot at the World Cup as top goal scorer. A consistently reliable front man who you could always rely on to get a goal when you needed it, the tournament's top goal scorer Davor Suker was a must-have to have in this all-star team. The next forward is Brian Laudrup. Unlike his brother Michael, Brian Laudrup has always been a part of the Denmark national team during their successful period in the early 1990s, and going into France '98, Brian Laudrup had scored 4 goals in 7 qualifying matches to help his country reach the World Cup. He would use his incredible pace and unselfish nature to set up goals which made him shine for Denmark, helping them reach the quarterfinals by contributing 2 goals and 3 assists before being knocked out by Brazil. Similar to his brother, after Denmark exited the World Cup, Brian Laudrup would announce his international retirement, but he would still be included in the all-star team. Now for another forward, this time Dennis Bergkamp. Going into this tournament, Dennis Bergkamp had been playing for Holland since 1990 and was one of their most established players, with many seeing him as their biggest threat. Known for his composure and quick feet, France '98 would be the tournament that Bergkamp would establish himself, as he would state that he scored the greatest goal of his career at this tournament. 3 goals and 3 assists during the World Cup proved how much he would contribute to the Dutch national side as they reached the semi-finals, but it would be his goal against Argentina in the quarter-finals that really stood out. His teammate Frank de Boer would rifle a 60-yard pass towards him, and he was able to control it with one touch, brought the ball down under control and through the legs of the Argentinian defender Roberto Ayala, before then volleying the ball into the top corner with the outside of his boot. Often voted as one of the greatest World Cup goals of all time, Dennis Bergkamp would cement himself in World Cup history with that goal, and of course he would be included in the France '98 All-Star team. And the final player to be included would of course be Ronaldo Nazario. Leading up to France '98, Ronaldo was heralded as the best player in the world, with many expecting him to fire Brazil to World Cup glory. He was and still is viewed as one of the most complete forwards of all time thanks to his dribbling, speed and ability to use both feet with ease, as well as his composure in front of goal. Ronaldo did not disappoint at this World Cup as he would score 4 goals and provide 3 assists and help take Brazil to the World Cup final, where they would face France. What happened to Ronaldo prior to that final is still up for debate, with many citing that he suffered a convulsive fit just hours before the game, putting Brazil's chances of success in jeopardy. Allegedly, against medical advice, Ronaldo chose to play the final against France, but it was clear to see he was not 100% fit, and eventually, following a collision on the pitch, he was taken off injured as Brazil lost 3-0 to France. An iconic player who could score goals from any angle, Ronaldo deservedly rounds up this all-star team for France '98. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when my videos come out. Check the description for some more videos, as well as a link to Bosman Viewing's channel, as he does have some great videos. So if you do like these sort of retro videos, definitely check his channel out.